Hey! Today I want to talk to you guys about my Great American Classics to Read list. I have a terrible track record when it comes to reading American novels. There are a couple of reasons for this. Number one, I didn't go to high school in America. A lot of the books on my to read list are books that are assigned in high school or university in America. And secondly, while I did study English literature in university, at the start of my second year I had to pick between British or American literature, and I picked British, so that's what I did for the rest of my university education, which has left me with a bit of a gap in my knowledge of the classics. Sometimes it makes me feel like I'm missing so many cultural references, and I want to try and fix that. There are a few American classics that I have read. I read The Catcher in the Rye a couple of years ago. I've also translated several passages from this book for one of my translation courses, and from time to time I had to tell some high school students that I was tutoring about this book. Then we have Ernest Hemingway's The Old Man and the Sea, which personally I'm not a fan of, but I'm still glad that I've read it. And then finally John Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men, which I absolutely loved. This is one of those books that I remember seeing in the library when I was 12. I've always been curious about it, and I read it about 2 years ago. So currently there are 5 books on my American Classics to Read list, and I happen to own all of them. Number 1, Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5. When I was in high school we got this list of English books, and we had to pick a couple of books from the list to read. And I remember seeing this title and I was really intrigued by it, but somehow it had been misplaced in my local library, which had a tiny collection of English books. I remember going back 3 or 4 times, but they had just lost it, so I never ended up reading it. The next book is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper. I've heard a lot of good things from friends who've read this book, and also I really like this beautiful edition. The next book is one that every time I admit I haven't read it, people are absolutely outraged. And you know, the movie's coming out pretty soon, so I guess I better start reading. It is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I feel like I'm missing out on so many jokes and references. The Hark a Vagrant cartoons are filled with Great Gatsby references, and I'm just so lost. The next 2 are some of the most beautiful books that I own. The first one is this edition of Moby Dick, which I bought when I was in Boston. It has a really creepy eye on the back, and some really cool drawings inside of it. It also has some of those fake worn edges, and John Green references this way too often, so that one's on the list as well. And then finally I have On the Road. I actually got to see the original scroll in the British Library a couple of weeks ago, which was really cool. You could see all the corrections that had been made on it, and you can see where it was taped together. I also really wanted to see the movie, but I'm waiting until I've read this book. So I hope you're not too shocked by the fact that I haven't read any of these. In the comments you can let me know which American classic you feel guilty about not having read yet. And of course you can also leave suggestions for other books you think I should add to this to read list. I'll talk to you guys later. Doei!